Guys, Weezy has entered the booth just when you thought things couldn't get crazier for Kendrick Lamar, with Drake filing a petition against UMG, saying that the record label was involved in schemes to boost the popularity of Kendrick's diss track Not Like Us, in the same week that he's released his highly anticipated 6th studio album, or mixtape maybe, GNX. But Kendrick's got some bigger problems to worry about than lawsuits or temper tantrums from Drake, because he might have just woken up the beast. Weezy F Baby, and that F is for Fragile Op. If you don't get that reference, stay tuned for my next video where I'll be discussing who Drake called his Fragile Op. But yeah, Wayne allegedly is not too happy right now. According to Joe Budden, Wayne tried calling Kendrick, who did not pick up the phone.
I am hearing that somebody picked up the phone, tried to call and see what the energy was. I'm hearing that Kendrick didn't answer.
Well, he told us in his letter, I go without a phone for months anyway.
Yeah, but if I'm calling you rapper to rapper and you don't answer.
Are we talking about Wayne?
Yes.
And because Kendrick never answered Weezy's call, Wayne allegedly has gotten back in the booth to pen up a response against Kendrick Lamar.
Somebody went in the studio after they heard this album. Now I'm going in the booth. You have until I get in that booth
to hit me
back. I'm hearing that Wayne went in the booth.
Now, why he wouldn't come with this response months ago when Kendrick was destroying Wayne's protege Drake? Well, maybe he thought Drake was a big boy and could fight his own battles. He should have learned from Drake's beef with Pusha T that wasn't the case, because that beef really derived from a beef that Wayne previously had with Pusha T. Wayne had dissed Pusha T way back on a record in 2013, and later in this video we're going to go through all the different diss tracks that Wayne has released in his entire career. But put it this way, that diss didn't land very well. Pusha T thought it was so bad he didn't even need to respond to it. So instead, he switched the target to Wayne's artist Drake. And on Duppy Freestyle, the track that came right before the story of Adidon, Drake even rapped, I told Weezy and Stunna I'ma done him for you. Basically saying like, I'll pick up where Wayne left off a couple years back. And amidst these two brutal L's that Drake took between Pusha T and Kendrick Lamar, Wayne was relatively nowhere to be found. He's been asked about the Pusha T beef. He plays clueless and acts like he doesn't know where it started. Probably doesn't even remember that at one point he even threw out a diss track against Pusha T. In terms of Kendrick Lamar, Wayne has not made a public statement about the fact, besides singing They Don't Like Us while performing him and Drake's song The Motto and flashing his OVO chain. He seemingly showed his solidarity with Drake, but hasn't actively defended him on the mic in any capacity. Why is that? Well, you could say Wayne doesn't want to be done the same way Drake was. Wayne's never battled another rapper. Wayne is late into his career, not in the shape lyrically he needs to be in to take on an opponent like Kendrick Lamar. Or maybe you thought he's just sparing Kendrick Lamar because of how much of an inspiration Wayne was to Kendrick, how much love Kendrick has shown Wayne in the past, and the fact that they've done records together. Well, regardless of why you thought Wayne has no business beefing Kendrick Lamar, it looks like it might really happen. Aside from Joe Budden saying that Wayne tried to call Kendrick didn't pick up, so Wayne got in the booth. An individual by the name of Nathan Allen Pirtle, who is the CEO of a digital media company that represents and advises both Nicki Minaj and Lil Wayne, he tweeted out earlier today saying, I love Kendrick, but after what I just heard, if I was him, I'd answer Wayne's call and piece it up. Basically saying like, I've heard what Wayne's cooking up, so if all he wants from Kendrick Lamar is a phone call explaining himself, then he's wanting Kendrick to do what Wayne's requesting or he'll regret it. But he also tweeted shortly after saying, my bad you guys, my phone is blowing up. It's not my place to speak on this, so please ignore what I said. I apologize to those I should have called before posting. So it's a little unclear if the guy is trolling here, how close he truly is to Wayne. Maybe he is very close to Wayne, but he's just a little biased and he's underestimating how lethal Kendrick's pen truly is. Now, I have a whole video breaking down where these issues started from to begin with. I'll link it in the description of this video, but for a summary of the whole thing, basically, Kendrick was announced to be performing at the 2025 Super Bowl in Lil Wayne's hometown of New Orleans. Lil Wayne was upset because he's been talking for many months about how much he wanted the opportunity to perform on that stage. Mind you, in those interviews, months before it was announced that Kendrick would be performing, Wayne had publicly said that he never got that call asking him if he'd be open to the opportunity of performing. Meanwhile, allegedly, Drake has been offered the opportunity multiple times, but turned it down every single time. So it was obvious that Wayne has not been a contender for that halftime performance. His own protege got called before he did. But people gassed Wayne up, making him think like he deserved that spot over Kendrick. So Wayne took it upon himself to paint the narrative that he was robbed from this opportunity as if it was ever even presented to him. Now, I love Wayne, and I don't think he necessarily had to congratulate Kendrick Lamar in any capacity, especially if he wanted that opportunity himself but didn't get it. However, to make the moment about yourself and then not even acknowledge that Kendrick's going to be performing just makes you seem like you're going out like a sore loser. So Kendrick referenced this on his latest album. On the track Wacced Murals, he rapped, "Used to bump the Carter 3, I wore my Rolly chain proud. The irony, I think my hard work let Lil Wayne down." Acknowledging that while he came in the game extremely influenced by Lil Wayne's style, at this point he's gotten himself into a position, thanks to his hard work, where Lil Wayne is actually jealous of his accomplishments. Or maybe not jealous, but he's disappointed in general that he didn't get that Super Bowl performance, and he really only has Kendrick Lamar and Jay-Z to blame for that. Now, this wasn't really a diss, but Lil Wayne took it as one. He tweeted out the day after the album came out saying, "Man, what the F I do? I just be chilling and they still come for my head. Let's not take kindness for weakness. Let this giant sleep, I beg you all. No one really wants destruction, not even me, but I shall destroy if disturbed. On me, love." And now, apparently, he tried calling Kendrick Lamar to clear these things up. I had said in my last video that I linked in the description, breaking this whole back and forth down, Lil Wayne historically is very much just in his own world, and a lot of news related to hip-hop comes from the people in his camp that pay closer attention to what's going on. Drake being one of those guys. He's constantly paying attention to what's hot right now, what rappers are on the come up. You could say he does that so he could kind of capitalize off them by being early on the trend, potentially collaborating with them and colonizing their sound, as Kendrick Lamar would say. Yeah, Wayne seems to get a lot of his news about hip-hop from the people around him. So I wouldn't have been surprised if Wayne maybe didn't even hear this record, or that he just heard that Kendrick name dropped him in a new song and he associates Kendrick with the guy who's beefing with his protege, calling him a PDF file. And that's probably why Wayne wanted to give Kendrick a call, see if this bar really had any bad intentions behind it before he gets in the booth and escalates things. And I don't see why Kendrick wouldn't answer that call unless he really is just not on his phone like that. I mean, we don't see him tweet anything except for his diss tracks or links to his new album. We did see him on a burner Instagram account called Jojo Ruski for a while, but other than that, he's not really active on his main Instagram account. He doesn't really seem to be on social media, so maybe he's not on his phone either. Plus, it's his album release week. Maybe he just missed that call. I do think with Wayne being such an influence to Kendrick, even giving him and J-Rock a verse way back in 2008 before either of them were the superstars they are today, Kendrick should pick up the phone and explain this whole thing to Wayne, but maybe he really wants this war. And what do you guys think? Do you think that if Wayne in 2024 goes up against Kendrick, what would be the outcome of that, right? Obviously, we saw what happened with Drake. A lot of people are comparing Lil Wayne versus Kendrick to Mike Tyson versus Jay Paul. And I see that in a way. I mean, obviously, again, Lil Wayne is not necessarily a battle-tested rapper. We're going to go through a couple of these small beefs he's been a part of, the disses that he sent out, and you guys could be the judge if the quality of Wayne's pen, or specifically any shots that he sent out in the past at other rappers, can fess up to what Kendrick Lamar will be able to produce. Mind you, a lot of the beefs that Wayne had been a part of were way back when he was in his prime, but I do think that in 2024, Wayne's pen is still sharper than ever. If you listen to his feature verses, his double entendres are still there, his charisma is still there. You could tell his love for the game is still there just based on the sheer quantity of output that he still gives us 20 years, 30 years into his career. He's still hungry. And even though Drake has gone toe-to-toe with lyrical giants much more frequently than Wayne has, I do think A, not only is Wayne a better technical rapper, but B, I think that there's a lot more ammo he can kind of garner up more than Drake was able to. I said before Drake ever took his first shot, what did he really have against Kendrick? What shots was he going to send at him? I had said way back when Kendrick dropped his verse on Like That, kind of baiting Drake, that Drake should not respond because it would just lead him down a disgusting rabbit hole that he was not ready for, especially with his bad habit of talking about people's family members in diss songs and then tucking his tail when they come back with something even harder. And in this case, suing when they come back with something even harder. But I had said way back then, Drake could come with the angle like, look, I brought you on your first tour. You were nothing before you started doing shows with me. You're on record saying that you'd never seen crowd sizes that big till I gave you the opportunity to join me on tour. And that Kendrick took a long leave of absence in between Damn and Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. And a lot of that was to work on issues rooted within himself. I think a great angle Drake could have taken was, you were hiding from the rap game for so long while I was dropping hit after hit effortlessly, and it was for the sole reason that you felt like you needed to work on yourself. You had a lot of healing to do, but now you're returning to the game, and it's with the sole purpose of dissing me. How desperate are you for attention, and how much healing did you really do if you still have that negative energy or resentment harbored up inside of you enough to make you diss me on a record before you even give your fans a record updating them on your life and where you've been for the last few years that you've taken off? But Drake didn't do that. Instead, he came with distasteful mockery of legends like Tupac and Snoop Dogg, childish, uncalculated trolling when Kendrick was silent. He seemed way too distracted, taking on too many opponents like Metro Boomin, Future, The Weeknd, A$AP Rocky, Rick Ross, and more. And then not listening to Kendrick's warning shots and bringing family involved and making a bunch of allegations with no real proof. Everything seemed uncalculated. Wayne, on the other hand, was a massive inspiration to Kendrick Lamar. Just like Drake, Wayne helped Kendrick early on in his career by giving him a feature back in 2008. But beyond that, Wayne has been in the game for 30 years. He's influenced this entire generation of new rappers, from Future to Young Thug, Tyler, the Creator, Kendrick himself, all the way to this newer generation of artists like Gunna, Ken Carson, Yeat, and more. So when you're talking about impact on the game or the significance that Wayne has within hip-hop culture, not only can Kendrick not pull a move he did on Drake saying that he's a colonizer, but any shot that Kendrick takes at Wayne's impact on the game directly reflects Kendrick as an artist, because early on in his career, he attributed a lot of his work ethic, his stylistic approach, his vocal delivery, a lot of that was an offspring to a style that Wayne created. He can come at Wayne from the angle of, you've popularized a lot of negative things within the culture, like the excessive consumption of lean, the face tats, the diamond teeth, even though I don't know if that's necessarily a negative thing. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Of course, you could also come at Wayne about where he's at right now in his life and his career. He hasn't had a hit in a while. He sometimes sounds a little tone deaf when he's performing. His last classic project was about 15 years ago with the No Ceilings tape. Maybe Carter 4 if you're being generous. And of course, there's the fact that Kendrick is performing at the Super Bowl instead of Wayne in his hometown. But all that to say, Wayne is an absolute legend. He's done tons for the culture. Me personally, he's probably my favorite rapper of all time just because of the time period that I grew up in and the unique style and work ethic that he brought to the game. I think it'd be very hard for Kendrick, knowing how much of an inspiration Wayne has been to him, to have it in his heart to go toe-to-toe with him in a rap battle. But you know what they say, idols become your rivals. And if Wayne's really in the booth cooking up, I don't see Kendrick backing down. Punch from TDE recently posted on Instagram saying that Kendrick is in a very special place right now that they've been working hard for 16 years to get to. He's hungrier than ever. It seems pretty apparent by this new album that he's still in tip-top shape, and he's fresh off one battle, so who's to say he can't go for round twos with his former opponent's former boss. Speaking of boss, Kendrick could also take the whole angle of you never became the boss. You were signed to one guy who signed to another guy. Birdman robbed you of dozens of millions of dollars. You went back and forth with him in court for years. This is the same guy that brought you in the game. You were fighting for your independence, but I've become everything you wanted to be. I'm the best rapper alive right now. I'm the one who's independent, releasing music through my own record label, PG Lang, while you had to take, a 7-year hiatus because you were in legal battles with your record label and you weren't able to put out the Carter 5. But then again, it's like when Wayne was going through those legal battles, Kendrick was drunk on Instagram, yelling at Wayne not to retire, playing his old music.
When I come through, the ladies praise me or something, cause they know how we play. Squad up, niggas talking about squad up. That's cliche. We going all the way back when he was motherfucking 16, 15 years old. Some hot boy shit. Day one. I'm about to retire and this shit. Fuck that. Retire, quit and rap, whatever you want to call it. Fuck that. Don't bother me.
Going on Twitter and saying Wayne is one of the most influential rappers of all time. And rightfully so. Wayne definitely is. And even though Drake has been through a lot more battles than Wayne has in hip-hop, I do think that Wayne would be a much tougher opponent for Kendrick to go up against, not only because he's a better MC than Drake, not only because he's one of the most influential rappers of all time, not only because he's a beloved figure within the culture, unlike Drake, but most importantly for the fact that he plays an integral role in the shaping of Kendrick Lamar's artistic identity. And if you want proof of that, then again, I linked my full breakdown of Lil Wayne and Kendrick in the description. It goes through every single time that Kendrick has shouted Wayne out and all the different ways that Kendrick has stated that Wayne has influenced him. I've also covered every single beef that Wayne has been a part of, so I'll link that video in the description as well. But let's quickly go through all the different disses that Wayne has sent out against different rappers, because as much as Wayne has often ducked the smoke, throughout his career he has sent some shots at some of the biggest players in the game. Most notably, arguably the biggest rapper in the game, Jay-Z. Wayne and Jay have had a long back and forth, with many bars traded back and forth throughout the last 20 years. Again, I'll link the full breakdown in the description, but you probably remember when Wayne rapped, talking about baby money, I got your baby money, kidnap your wife, get that how much you love your lady money. Those were arguably the most notorious bars that Wayne has ever sent towards another rapper, and it was in response to Jay-Z rapping on the song Ham saying, I'm like, really, half a billy? Really? You got baby money. Keep it real with guys. These guys ain't got my ladies' money. That was in reference to Lil Wayne's record label owner, Birdman, saying that Wayne makes more money than Jay-Z. Jay was using a slick double entendre there, saying, you got baby money, as in like, you don't have the type of money I have. You got small money, and you got baby's money. Baby is the nickname for Birdman, and Birdman is notoriously known for not paying artists. Instead of giving them royalty checks, he gives them flashy cars and watches. So it's really like your money is his money. When your music makes money, even if it makes more than mine, it goes right in his pocket. It's baby's money. And it's baby money, aka it's small. It's also not even as much money as his wife Beyonce makes, according to that bar. Apparently, Wayne heard that when Kanye came to his studio and played him the record, and he's gone in interviews saying that he really can't compete with Jay-Z when it comes to money. But Jay Mills, one of Wayne's artists who was in that studio session when Kanye played Wayne, Jay's verse on that Ham record, he said that Wayne stormed out of the booth and didn't know how he should react. A couple days later, he recorded the record It's Good, which featured the lines about kidnapping Beyonce, and he asked everyone in the room if it was going too far, if he should release it, and Jay Mills alleges that he was the only one that said that Wayne should put it out. Jay clapped back on a record 2 years later called La Familia, but again, I have a whole breakdown on this, so I'll leave it in the description. But before Wayne threatened to kidnap Jay-Z's wife like she was Princess Peach in a Mario game, he had some even better bars for Jay a couple years earlier on the song Beat Without Bass, which in my opinion is Wayne's best feature verse of all time. This song came out in 2007 when Wayne was at the height of his popularity, and in my opinion, this was when his skill set was at its sharpest. This is when he was coming up with the most unique flows, the most unique ways of stretching out his voice. He was rapping at a top level, and he was calling himself the best rapper alive. But before him, Jay was the one calling himself the best rapper alive, but Jay had retired in around 2003, and when he came out of retirement in 2006, Wayne was already claiming that title. So on this Beat Without Bass record, Wayne rapped, you old rappers better stay on tour. You're like 44, I got a 44. I'm 24, I can murk you and come home when I'm 44. A nice play on words with the 44 and some slick warning shots at Jay that he's too old to compete at this point. Wayne is the new best rapper alive. He's young, he's 24, he's energized. Jay-Z is better off just staying on tour and phasing into the legacy act of his career. You'll notice with a lot of the shots that Wayne takes at other artists, they're never really personal jabs. It's more just playful wordplay about him being better than anyone else, which I don't know if that works so well in a battle with Kendrick, when Kendrick could say, yeah, you might have inspired me, you might have been the best rapper alive, but he can flip that whole 44 bar and be like, now you're 44, I'm the young guy, I'm the one at the top position right now, and I'm getting accolades that you wish you had. You wish you could be on that Super Bowl stage in New Orleans, but you can't, thanks to me. But aside from Jay-Z, Wayne had also traded a couple shots with 50 Cent. Ironically, he kind of played off a bar that Jay-Z had rapped in reference to 50 Cent years earlier. Jay had rapped, I'm about $1, what the F is 50 Cent? And Wayne had rapped, all about $1, F 2 quarters, I pour syrup in that vitamin water. I hope you die ugly and tonight is gorgeous. The vitamin water is obviously in reference to the fact that 50 Cent was Vitamin Water's sponsor back in the day, and the Die Ugly bar is in reference to 50 Cent's album title, Get Rich or Die Trying. Again, full breakdown of their beef is in the description because 50 took some jabs at Wayne as well. And now we got two other rappers that Wayne has went at. One who, in my opinion, he's sent his best set of diss bars towards, if that's how you say it, diss bars. And another rapper he by far sent his worst set of diss bars towards. So we'll start with the best. That would be Gillie Da Kid. Gilly today is the co-host of the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast, but back in the early 2000s, he was a former Cash Money artist. He left for the same reason that many other artists leave, because Birdman didn't pay him, and he wasn't too happy about that and came out with some crazy accusations saying that he was writing for a lot of the artists on Cash Money, most notably Wayne. He had written all of the Carter 1, and Wayne took his whole style from him. His beef with Wayne started when Wayne rapped on a track saying, "Gilly, man, I don't think you guys should really F with me. The gun off me working and twerking it perfectly." Now, if anyone in the comments can let me know what it means to twerk a gun, then that'd be great. But those weren't his best set of diss bars. They came later in 2007 off Wayne's Drought 3 mixtape, which is, in my opinion, again, by far his best mixtape. He threw a couple shots at Gilly. Some decent ones came on the record live from the 504 where he rapped, "I'm a shark in the water, yeah, I swim with the big, so I don't have time to deal with Willie the squid." So maybe a Kendrick will say, "I'm a shark in the water, like us, you are not, so I don't have time to deal with K-Dot the bot." Drop a like for those bars. But yeah, Wayne's best set of bars aimed at Gilly came on the track "I Can't Feel My Face" off that same mixtape, The Drought 3. First, he addressed Gilly's accusations of being Wayne's ghostwriter by rapping, "In this game, I'm no cheetah, I'm a tiger, I'm a cougar, I'm a panther, I'm a bingo, ocho cinco." And I had to pull out Genius for these bars because there's a bunch of different layers to them. Obviously, first, he's saying in the game, he's no cheater, aka he doesn't have a ghostwriter, he writes for himself. And he's not a cheetah, he's a tiger or a cougar, more powerful animals than a cheetah. Tiger also being in reference to Tiger Woods, who was at the top of his game at the time, and ironically also a cheater in the bedroom. Then he raps he's a bingo, ocho cinco, and a bingo is an animal closely related to a cheetah, but it's also a reference to the Cincinnati Beagles NFL team. Ocho Cinco is Spanish for the number 85, and Chad Johnson of the Cincinnati Bengals wears the number 85 and legally changed his name to Chad Ocho Cinco. So he's comparing himself to top players in their respective fields, Tiger Woods, Ocho Cinco, and also saying he's a different kind of animal and that he's not a cheater. He continues by rapping, "I'm illy, shirt softer than Gilly, in a pair of Gucci flops, feeling freer than Willie. When them guys left, I got a little bit chilly, but I just let it burn like the end of a Philly." So he starts it off obviously calling Gillie Da Kid soft, just like his t-shirt, but then he references not only Gillie Da Kid leaving Cash Money, but also all of his former Hot Boys artists when he raps, "When them guys left, I got a little bit chilly." And that has multiple different meanings. Number one, obviously when they left, Wayne's career was at an all-time low. Cash Money Records in general was at an all-time low because the Hot Boys were the main attraction of Cash Money. They were more valuable as artists together than they were separately. So when they left, Wayne was less hot. He was chilly. It could also mean that when they left, Wayne was cold-hearted, aka he was chilly. But talking about the split between Wayne's own group, he's also referencing another group that split up, TLC, as he name drops two of their members, Lisa Left Eye Lopez and Rizonda Chili Thomas. Get it? Because he raps, "When them guys left, I was a little bit chilly." And then he ends the bar off by saying, "But I just let it burn like the end of a Philly." Let It Burn is the name of the final Hot Boys album, Wayne's former group that split up, that he's referencing. But Usher also had a song called Let It Burn, which was right after he broke up with the TLC group member, Chili. So throughout Wayne talking about his breakup with his group, he's referencing her breakup, he's referencing her name, her group members, and a song written about a breakup that involved her. But you might be wondering, how does that all relate back to Gillie Da Kid besides him calling Gilly soft earlier in this verse? Well, the Philly is a double entendre. Gillie Da Kid is from Philly. He used to call himself the King of Philly. He's ignoring Gillie Da Kid's shots. He's letting them burn out the same way that he lets his Philly blunts burn out. Philly is a type of blunt rap. So Wayne is saying he's so rich, he doesn't need to hit the blunt till the end and burn his fingers off. He lets it burn out on its own, the same way Gillie Da Kid's buzz will burn out on its own without Wayne adding fuel to the fire by engaging in that back and forth with him. Plus, end of the Philly, aka end of Gillie Da Kid, the King of Philly, that being the end of his rapping career. You can't tell me Wayne isn't the king of punchlines and metaphors. Like this Wayne right here, this 2007 peak form Wayne, that would be a very, very tough opponent for Kendrick Lamar today. 2024 Wayne, I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments. But speaking of Wayne exiting out of his prime, it was no more apparent than when he dropped his diss record against Pusha T, if you could even call it that. It came right after Pusha T dropped Exodus 23:1, where he was mainly going at Drake, saying Drake was signed to one guy, signed to another guy, signed to three guys, making fun of the whole financial mess that was Young Money, Cash Money. But instead of Drake going at Pusha, it was actually first Wayne who went at him. Again, he likely heard that Pusha T was going at the whole camp through someone from his team, similar to how I think he heard about these Kendrick bars. But he ended up tweeting out, "F Pusha T and anybody that love him." Then he released a track called Ghoulish or Goulash, where he rapped, "F Pusha T and anybody that love him. his head's up his butt, I'ma have to headbutt him. And boy, oh boy, 2013 was a bad year to be a Wayne fan. This was the year he dropped I'm Not a Human Being 2. Looking back, there are definitely some gems on that album, but you also got tracks like Wowzers, which if you don't remember that record, count yourself lucky. That's where he rapped that his tongue is an Uzi and his genitals are an AK-47, and then he started making the noises of a firearm, stating that that's the sound that his tongue and his genitals make. And then we got that embarrassingly atrocious, sad attempt at a diss record that was Ghoulish. It was so bad that Pusha T didn't even think it was worth responding to. He went on the radio and said word for word, like, this guy is just not in a position to rap against me right now. I would be doing a disservice to the world by even entertaining this. So thank you, Pusha T, for shifting your focus onto Drake. That gave us a much more entertaining battle. But you guys let me know in the comments, do you think with all of these little subs and sneak disses and bars that Wayne has had for rappers in the past, would that make for an entertaining battle with Kendrick Lamar today? Who do you think would win? Don't forget, they have a record together from, I want to say about 10 years ago now, Mona Lisa. I think it was recorded 10 years ago and came out like 4 years later in 2018. And it was like a storytelling concept record. Great record. Wayne has actually been at shows and people hold signs up saying perform Mona Lisa. And he's like, there's so many bars in that record, like I can't remember them all to even perform them. But listen to that song and let me know, based off their performances, who you think would get washed on a track together and in a battle. I think if they just got on a track together, they would both stand their ground. I don't think there'd be one person who would massively outshine the other. But in a rap battle, man, Kendrick is way more analytical, way more calculated. I think he also like relates to the audience on a more human level. Like he can come back to reality, ground himself in reality, where Wayne kind of lives in, Wayne's world. He lives in a fantasy land, and he's been, a superstar since the young age of like 11 years old. So logically and rightfully so, he's a little bit more detached from reality, whereas Kendrick is a little more grounded in the struggles of the average individual and can relate on a deeper level through his music, whereas Wayne's subject matter, while at times could get deep, and as we saw in the breakdown of a lot of these bars, his metaphors and punchlines could carry a lot of double meanings and be quite complex. But I think Kendrick, especially today, has a stronger skill for commenting on societal issues, picking people's personalities apart like he did to himself on Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, or like he did to Drake on records like Meet the Grams. I don't know. It'd be a tough battle to witness, but hey, apparently Wayne's in the booth, so I guess we'll have to see. Do you want to see this battle go down? What do you think the outcome will be? Do you think Wayne even did step foot in that booth to lay a diss track down against Kendrick? Again, very unparalleled to the reaction we've gotten from Wayne when he's been attacked by other rappers in the past. And that was when he was way more active, way more popular, seemingly a lot hungrier, and a lot more determined to prove to the world that he was the best rapper alive. I think at this point, he's earned his stripes. He's aware of the legacy that he's left behind and the influence that he has on many rappers in the game, very much so, including Kendrick. And he doesn't really feel the need to prove himself today. So surprising to me that he would be that determined to enter this uncharted territory in his career of engaging in a rap battle, especially with seemingly the current best rapper alive. But let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.
There's a lot of little nuggets in both of their disses that if it wasn't for these breakdowns, and salute to guys like this, Rapaholics, because I think they directly get it.